Most B2B videos on YouTube don't get many views, and that's exactly why they make money, because profitable doesn't look the way you think it does. And in this video, I'll talk about the 5 B2B niches that have serious money-making potential on YouTube, even without massive audiences. Before we jump into that, let me clear up one thing. When most people think of success on YouTube, they think of views, subscribers, AdSense, virality, but in B2B, success has nothing to do with that. Success here means one viewer with power to buy from you, one stranger who turns into an advocate, or one conversation that turns into a long-term partnership. And for that, you don't need massive reach. You just need the right person watching. And once you understand that, a clear pattern starts to show up. The B2B niches that make the most money on YouTube aren't trendy. They're not creator-led, and they're definitely not built for virality. These niches are problem-led. Specifically, they're built around real business problems that are expensive to ignore. Let's start with one that we can all relate to. That is accounting and tax services. This is one of the most profitable B2B niches on YouTube when it's done right. And the reason is simple. There's risk involved. If a business gets its taxes wrong, it doesn't just lose money. It deals with penalties, audits, and months of cleanup and hassle. So the people searching for this content aren't casually browsing. They're usually founders or operators who are scaling and start to feel the pressure. For example, someone searching tax mistakes companies make after growing to 1 million in revenue are already problem aware. They know something changes as the business grows, and they're just trying to avoid making an expensive mistake. A video like that might get 300 or 500 views, but the percentage of views coming from someone with buying power is very high. Typical services in this niche include tax planning and optimization, compliance and filings, or ongoing advisory or fractional CFO work. One client from YouTube can easily be worth a few $1,000s a month. Close a handful of those and you're looking at an extra $15,000 to $30,000 without chasing leads or relying on referrals. 2 is legal services. Legal is one of those niches people underestimate on YouTube, not because it isn't valuable, but because they assume nobody wants to watch it. And that's only true if the content is framed the wrong way. People don't come to YouTube for legal advice because they're curious. They come because they're about to make a decision and they don't want to mess it up. Hiring contractors, signing a client agreement, starting a company with a co-founder, using templates they found online. These are everyday situations for business owners, and they might not directly go to YouTube, but even Google recommends YouTube videos for technical topics like these. So when someone searches for a very specific legal problem, they need practical solutions. And you give it not by being technical, but by breaking down consequences in plain language. Talk about what usually goes wrong, what people assume is fine, and what ends up causing problems later down the road. From a service perspective, this naturally leads into contract reviews and drafting, startup legal setup, IP protection, and ongoing advisory work. And here's the important part for legal marketers. Creating content on YouTube doesn't mean you're replacing consultations. It's more like a pre-qualification step for viewers. By the time someone reaches out, they already understand how you can help them. They already see the risks. They already trust your judgment. 3 is healthcare operations. Healthcare is one of the strongest trust-based niches on YouTube, not because people want medical lectures, but because they want reassurance before they make a decision. They search things like what happens during rehab, is laser treatment safe, what to expect before a cosmetic procedure. These searches are personal and often emotional, and a recent report shows that over 40 million people globally turn to ChatGPT for their health-related information and concerns daily. And YouTube videos are a top citation for LLMs. Video allows doctors and specialists to explain things calmly, to remove fear and set expectations. And when someone watches multiple videos from the same professional, trust builds naturally. This applies to addiction treatment centers, mental health professionals, aesthetic and cosmetic clinics, and specialized medical practices of any kind. From a business perspective, YouTube does two things at once. First, it filters the audience. People who resonate with the approach, tone, and philosophy keep watching. People who don't, leave. Second, it shortens the decision cycle. By the time someone books an appointment or call, they already know how the treatment works, what the process looks like, and whether they want to go forward with it or not. That's why these businesses don't rely on volume. A handful of clients a month can mean a significant revenue, especially in high-ticket or recurring treatment models. Number 4 is insurance and risk management. Insurance is one of those things most people don't think about until they have to. No one sits around wanting to learn about policies or coverage. But the moment something goes wrong, insurance suddenly becomes very important. That's usually when people end up on YouTube. They're asking things like, what happens if this claim gets denied? Or what insurance mistakes did people make? Or do we have the right coverage for our business? And the key thing is, these searches usually happen before a crisis. So instead of explaining policies line by line, the best content focuses on situations and solutions. So videos on insurance gaps most people don't realize, or why claims get denied more often than people expect, attract genuine people with these problems. Because once someone watches a video like that, they usually have one thought: okay, this person knows the deal, and we should probably get this checked. And that naturally leads into services like risk assessments, policy reviews, coverage adjustments, or ongoing advisory support. You're not selling insurance on YouTube. You're helping people spot risk before it becomes expensive, and you gain their trust. 5 is financial infrastructure and payment systems. This niche shows up when businesses start growing and suddenly the systems that worked fine before don't anymore. Early on, most companies get by with manual tracking, basic tools, and workarounds that just save time. But as revenue grows, those shortcuts start creating problems. Payments fail, reporting becomes messy, reconciliation takes forever, and no one fully trusts the numbers. That's when people turn to YouTube for an easy solution. They search for things like why payment issues increase as companies scale, or when spreadsheets stop working for finance, or signs your financial systems can't handle growth. Content in this niche works because it speaks to a moment of transition, because they're preparing for the next stage. So you can also help them prepare and become more problem aware. From there, YouTube becomes a way to explain what strong financial infrastructure looks like, why certain systems fail under scale, what businesses should fix first. And the services connected to this content are usually financial system audits, payment and reporting setup, compliance-ready infrastructure, and ongoing advisory or implementation support. This niche converts so well because the audience is small but decisive, and they need the service immediately. When a finance leader or founder realizes their system won't scale, they won't shop around endlessly. They look for someone who clearly understands the problem. And if your content helped them see it early, you're usually the first call they make. That's how financial infrastructure creators turn YouTube into real revenue. So when you zoom out, the pattern is pretty clear. The B2B niches that make the most money on YouTube are not trendy at all. They're built around real problems that businesses cannot afford to ignore. That's why even with lower views, these niches work so well, because they reach the right people at the right moment when a decision actually needs to be made. But choosing the right niche is only one part of the equation. The next step is knowing how to structure videos so people actually care and move from watching to reaching out. In my last video, I break down a simple 3-step YouTube funnel that shows you how to segment your content in a way that first attracts buyers, then builds trust, and then turns YouTube into a consistent client acquisition channel. Watch it here, and I'll see you on the next one.